Okay, let's talk about burnout. Especially if you're a purpose-driven person, you know this feeling. It can feel like you failed, like you've just run out of gas. But what if that feeling of exhaustion isn't a sign you did something wrong? What if it's actually a signal that something deep inside is trying to get your attention? Today, we are diving into a really powerful framework for healing exactly that.
You know, the source material for this whole explainer kicks off with this line, and man, it hits hard. Fatigue makes a coward of us all. It just perfectly captures that feeling, right? When you're so worn down that your courage, your kindness, your ability to make a good choice, it all just kind of disappears. You feel like you're completely overdrawn, spiritually and emotionally.
Now this is the question that changes everything. What if those parts of you, the anxiety, the perfectionism, the part that just has to please everyone, what if those things that feel like your biggest problems aren't actually your enemies? What if they're just old, outdated survival programs that are still trying to protect you? So, to figure out how to get out, we first have to understand how we get stuck. And for people who are really driven by purpose, burnout isn't some random thing, it's a pattern, a really predictable, vicious cycle that the source material calls the burnout loop.
And this just lays it all out so clearly. See, it starts with that intense pressure you put on yourself to live out your purpose. That pressure leads to fatigue, and when you're tired, your judgment gets cloudy. And that's when the fear creeps in. Fear you don't have enough time, enough money, enough help. And when you're tired and scared, that's when you get sharp, maybe a little angry. And what comes after that? Oh yeah, guilt, which of course just makes you strive even harder to make up for it, and boom, you're right back at the start of the loop.
All right, so how do we break this cycle? Well, we have to meet the parts of us that are actually driving it. And this is where the source introduces this amazing idea of your inner survival team, or what it calls your protector parts. These are the pieces of your personality that literally showed up to keep you safe when you were a kid.
And let's be super clear about what this means. These are not your flaws, they're not sins, they were survival strategies. And honestly, your younger self was brilliant for creating them. They worked. The only problem is, those strategies are still running the show today, long after the original threat is gone.
Okay, so let's meet a few of these common protectors. You might recognize some of these. There's the appeaser, who was amazing at keeping the peace as a kid, but today, it makes you forget your own needs. Or the builder, performer, who's great at getting things done, but now feels this deep shame when anything is less than perfect. And then you've got the firefighters. Their job was to kill pain, fast, to keep you going. But now, they might be breaking long-term things just to stop short-term pain. Recognizing these parts in yourself is a huge first step.
So, if we're not supposed to let these extreme protector parts run our lives, what's the alternative? The goal is to find what the source calls your baseline. Think of it as a place of emotional stability, a calm center. Just look at the difference here. On one side, you've got life in the extremes. That's a roller coaster. You're either at a +10 high or a -10 low. Every single event defines who you are. But life at the baseline, at 0, isn't about feeling numb. It's about having stability and capacity. It means events pass through you. They don't become you. You can savor the good stuff and feel the bad stuff without completely falling apart.
And this is just so important to get right. Finding your baseline is not about becoming a robot. It's about building a bigger container inside yourself. It's the difference between being a tiny teacup that overflows at the slightest emotion and being a deep, wide lake that can hold joy, sadness, and everything in between without spilling over.
The source gives us this beautiful mantra to help us anchor into that baseline. It's a way of speaking this new truth over yourself. I am constant. Events pass through me, not define me. That's the internal voice of someone who is living from that stable, centered place.
Okay, this next part, this is where it all gets so hopeful and empowering. We've met our protector parts, we know our goal is to find that baseline. But what in the world do we do with these protectors? Well, the answer is kind of amazing. We don't get rid of them, we retrain them.
Just let that sink in for a second. All these parts of you that you may have been fighting or feeling ashamed of for years, you don't have to kick them out. They actually have really valuable skills. And there it is. That's the big secret. It's not about cutting parts of yourself off, it's about bringing them back into the fold. It's about your wise adult self stepping up as the new CEO of your inner world and giving everyone on the team a brand new job description.
And this is what that looks like. This table is so cool. Your appeaser part, who is an expert at sensing what everyone needs, they become your boundary scout, using that same skill to protect your energy.
The performer, who just has to produce, they become a craftsman, finding joy in finishing one small, beautiful thing. Your firefighter becomes a de-escalation team, helping to soothe your system before you react. You see? We honor the skill, but we give it a new, healthier mission.
Okay, so the big question is, how do we actually do this? How do we make this real? The answer isn't some giant, overwhelming life change. It's all about small, repeatable steps. And that's really the secret to making it stick. You're not trying to become a totally new person by Monday. You are gently, consistently showing your inner system a new way to live. You're building new pathways in your brain through tiny, faithful actions.
And here are a few super practical things you could literally start today. A 10-minute morning baseline routine with some quiet music. A 5-minute walk in the middle of the day just to get out of your head. Or this one, practice saying no to just one thing a week. Just one. These are tiny things, but when you do them over and over, they become absolutely transformative.
And this final thought from the source just sums it all up so perfectly. For a long time, maybe you felt like you were living in a tent during a hurricane, just trying to survive. The invitation now is to build a house, a solid house. And the cool thing is, your parts already have the tools. All those skills they learned for survival are valuable. You, your adult self, just get to bring the new blueprint. And together, you can finally build a life where you're not just surviving, but where you can truly, deeply thrive.